Beetlejuice is the newest film by Tim Burton, which is a direct continuation to his original 80s classic starring Michael Keaton. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the original film. I've seen it many times before. I watched it all the time when I was growing up, and I've never really understood the appeal behind it, especially like growing older. I think it's very juvenile, very formulaic, and I don't think it has quite as much Michael Keaton action as I remember it having. In fact, I rewatched it in preparation for the sequel, and I was disappointed in how little Michael Keaton actually has screen time in the original, because he's the thing that like really holds the film together in total. So I went into this one with basically zero expectations. I didn't really know what to expect going in based on the trailers and marketing, but I did know that Tim Burton was behind it, and whenever Tim Burton releases a film in theaters, I'm going to check it out. He is a really ingenious filmmaker who uses a bunch of creativity and style in his films to a great degree. And I always respect him as a filmmaker, even if I don't really think his work lands on par with other films out recently. To fully preface this review, I saw this film last night at an early screening, and usually when I do reviews, I review it within like a few hours of seeing the film. That makes it like stay fresh in my mind. I have everything that I want to talk about ready to go. But for this one, I loved it so much that I really needed to see if the hype would die down having seen it and having reflected on it, or if it would actually stay the same level. So I waited 24 hours and thought about it and pondered it and really contemplated, is this film really that good, or was it the initial hype? And I think that the consensus is this film is really that good. It is such a blast, and I'm so pleased to report this film is going to be so much fun for audiences this weekend. This is going to be the Halloween movie this year. If you're looking for spooky vibes and a creepy gothic atmosphere, look no further. Keaton is back and better than ever in a continuation of his most iconic performance to date. He has increased screen time here, which means he has so many moments to truly shine comedically with ease. Newcomer Jenna Ortega is so well cast as Lydia's daughter, and Catherine O'Hara returns as Delia with such a fun performance overall. Willem Dafoe is such a fun addition as a grizzled cop detective that's also an actor, and Monica Bellucci is stunning in every single sequence, even if she's not in the film overall a considerable amount. I just love how pure and unabashedly Burton-y this feels. It is him in his most Burton-like style in years. This is like a continuation on from the style of the original in a new package. Everything here is so visceral and in your face and like just pops out of the screen. If you see this in a premium format, which I highly suggest you do in IMAX or Dolby or any other premium format in general, it's definitely worth it, because this is a film that deserves to be seen on a large scale like that. Over-the-top CGI and practical effects are just so seamless and like really transport you into this quirky and surreal world on display here. And overall, in each sequence, you can't help but admire how much attention to detail and just passion Tim Burton has poured into this. It is really him at his most creative output I've seen in years, as mentioned. This is so heartfelt to see Tim Burton return to a style that really made him famous and made him beloved by so many audience goers, and it's just such a fun movie on that level. It's so great to see a sequel like this to a legacy movie that's like so popular back in its heyday, that not only continues on the events of the first in a way that feels grounded and fresh and real, it also succeeds in standing apart and being its own thing. And it really has helped like so much so that it just feels like an entirely different movie as a result. There's so many surprises here, from cast cameos to moments of plot twists that I wasn't expecting. In fact, there's two in particular in this film that completely blindsided me. When the reveals happened, it was such a fun reaction to have as an audience member going in and not really knowing anything about what these twists or reveals will even happen. And then it happens and you're not expecting it, and you really just become enthralled with it. It's so much fun on that level. Now, it's not entirely a hit. I really admire this film overall for what it accomplishes and what it does as a whole, but I will say that a few scenes here do not hit in particular like others do. There's some moments of pure brilliance here. That's unparalleled. Like Michael Keaton and Tim Burton as a combination really just blend together so seamlessly. However, getting to those scenes, there's some scenes throughout that don't really feel needed or as engaging or enthralling as some others in the film. There's definitely lulls in its pacing and its runtime. So I'd say definitely prepare for that. You're going to have to get through some slower moments and more drawn out character beats before you get to some of the more fun stuff in general. Also, there's some absences of key characters from the original here, for good reason, because you have to kind of like remove them because of some real world circumstances surrounding their actors. But I will say, the way it's handled, and we've seen this multiple different times in sequels in the past where like cast members can't return, you have to write them off somehow, right? You have to find a clever way to not only explain their absence, but kind of tie it so it feels natural in the story. And unfortunately, and I know it's a hard combination to like kind of get right, so I'm not trying to harp on it too much, but unfortunately here, it just feels so rushed and not finished, and it doesn't feel like they do it in a way that feels emotionally satisfying. It's kind of like a line here that passes fleetingly and you don't really get any closure. It's I know. I hate complaining about it and like critiquing it because I know it's hard. I've seen films before have to pull it off. It's the same thing with like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever back a few years ago with Chadwick Boseman's unfortunate passing, having to explain his character moving on. It's stuff like that that really, it takes so much nuance behind the camera to kind of like balance that. And I'd say that here, unfortunately, it doesn't do that as well as some other films have in the past, but it does as best a job as it can. I'm not going to harp on it or critique it too much. It just deserves being pointed out as such. And honestly, Winona Ryder is a national treasure. I love her to death, but her performance here and her character here in particular really didn't do anything for me. Lydia here doesn't feel as independent or strong or nuanced as she did in the first. Her character beats feel like very worn out and tread on, and it doesn't really feel like she's doing anything different from other performances she's had in the past. It leans too heavily into surreal in certain moments, and it definitely is a Tim Burton film because of some directorial choices that could have been, removed. And also, the ending is sure to be divisive. It doesn't really have a conclusive ending, I guess you could term it as, but it is conclusive at the same time. You'll just have to watch it to see your own opinion. I think it's going to be divisive. For me personally, the ending was one of the weakest points of this film, but the journey to get there is so worth it. Overall, in my opinion, because I don't really like the original, this is a way better film than the first. I know that's going to be a controversial statement. I know people are going to be varied in their opinions. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, so definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below about whether you preferred this one or the original and why. Overall, I just adored this film to bits. Go see it this weekend in premium formats. If you're looking for a perfect Halloween watch this season, look no further because this has everything you want and more in spades. That's why I'm giving Beetlejuice an 80 out of 100. Thank you guys so much for watching another review on my channel. If you're new to my channel, as always, please do not forget to click that subscribe button down below, like the video, and turn on post notifications to be notified whenever new videos drop on my channel. With that being said, until next time, this is Mitchell signing off. Peace out.